Coming in here confident, 07 has a lot to do.
Yep. So we are going to be joined by both captains for the face-off right now, so we can go ahead and ask them how they're doing this season. Now, first thing that sticks out is Meadowhawk. You got an unbanning sign there, buddy. So how are you doing today?
I'm getting my money's worth out of this sign. We welcome back Arklet from the fold.
Yeah.
Honest mistake. I mean, he's playing at 4 a.m. in his time zone, logged on to his training account instead of his league account. And of course, we've named all our training accounts with our first name, so nobody noticed it. Like the Mods didn't notice it, we didn't notice it until we were in the game. But it is what it is. He's back. He's excited to play again, so hopefully it goes better.
All right, good to hear. Now, T1. We were just talking about Positive on the last match day. He's been pretty quiet this season, but last match day he just popped off left, right, and center, 5K, 5K, 5K over and over again. What do you credit that to? Is it just finally getting into the rhythm with the rest of the team? Did you guys alter his positions he was playing? What does it come down to?
No, just, I mean, obviously he's playing really early in the morning because he lives in Ukraine, so... I guess just getting used to the time zone change and then getting used to just like how our team is different than Ding. Just like communication wise, just how we play.
So you're saying that he's definitely starting to fit in with the team and it's becoming much more natural a flow?
Yeah.
Okay.
We try to keep it like loose and just everybody just have fun, do what they want to do.
Here's a question, actually, because it's coming up, and this is to both of you. I'll start with T1. T1, because you guys have added a player who isn't a North American native, they have to, as you both have said, play early in the morning. What's that like for your team, and what are the things that you guys notice that you have to kind of overcome or work through in order to get a player that lives on the other side of the world to play at a high level with you guys? So, T1.
I mean, just for them, it's just they see it as, okay, they're playing here, that's their choice, then they just get up at whatever the time is, like 2, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. to play. And it's no problem, they just get used to it.
Just got to get used to it.
So they just show up. I mean, we haven't had any problems, so.
Okay, Meadow, do you have anything on that subject?
Not really. Obviously, we've had a couple times when Arklet sleeps through his alarm and someone has to play for him. But it can be hard. I mean, Arklet obviously has been playing NA now for a while, and it can really, he has, it affects his sleep patterns, right? Because if you're trying to sleep for 3 hours and then get up for a scrim for 3 hours and then go back to sleep before work or whatever, it can really affect their health. Colozoid and FC haven't really had too many issues. They've been pretty good. Obviously, our biggest thing with them is communication right now.
All right, fair enough. Well, on that note, I'm ready to get into the battles. Meadowhawk, for 07, you have any final thoughts for T1 and Eclipse?
No, I'm just hoping that we can overcome this curse that they've imposed on us. It's like the curse of the Bambino. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but since they stole Letta from us, we have not won a match in regulation. So I'm hoping that if we can beat them today, then that'll break that curse, and we'll go into the second round robin with a fresh start.
All right, T1, any final thoughts from Meadowhawk in 07?
Good luck, have fun.
All right, guys, we'll see you guys on the battlefield. So, you see how both of them are. T1, pretty much business as usual. It's just a matter of same thing, just different time. I do like what he pointed out, though. You have to remember Positive played with the same group of people for a long time over on Ding, and a lot of those same players played on the same teams before that.
Yeah.
So, he's been around for a while, but when you play with the same people over and over again for years at a time, and then you just suddenly change, it can be a little bit hard to kind of acclimate yourself sometimes.
Yeah, and it is really a thing. I think we both had to do that in the past. We had plenty of players who've jumped around. I for one have seen these rosters in different configurations for the past 4 years, and it just starts to blend together at a point here in North America where a lot of players are just used to each other.
Yeah, I do find it's kind of, for a lot of these players coming over from like Ukraine and Russia, it's kind of a backwards honeymoon period almost. A lot of times you get players that jump over and they have that instant honeymoon period where everyone gets along, it's all kumbaya, they all put up really good numbers. But especially this season, it's been more of a really slow start, kind of figuring things out. There hasn't really been that honeymoon period early on, and then they kind of get gelling later on.
And actually, I know what you mean, because a lot of teams, the way it tends to work, that this is what you're talking about, is the fact that a team will start, it'll be awesome, and then it will usually blow up after a few months. And that's like the esports way, is a team will be amazing once they form. but then they'll just fall apart. Yeah. But in this case, in tanks, a lot of the time, if you can just keep a team together for an entire season and then manage to just keep that team going for second season. Once you're in that second season, usually things are going to start coasting or you're going to fall apart, right?
Yep.
That's just usually how it goes. A team can usually stay together for just a season, but 07, they're here in what season is it at this point? I mean,
it's got to be their 5th season.
Yeah.
Because their first season was the last season of 754, I believe.
Yeah.
So that would have been quite a while ago.
Yeah, and even then, you could argue that certain aspects of the team had existed as an entity before that, even. So, yeah, that kind of thing tends to be a factor.
Yeah, definitely. Now we are getting ready for our first map of the night. Now, as we talked about, it will be Sand River up first. Now, this is a map that I think is the epitome of a 1-in-1 map. Really favors the defenders unless they make a mistake. Very similar to how Ruinberg was for a while. It's kind of changed from that, and Murovanka still is. Now, we are going to have 07 starting on offense, though. What do they have to do to take this to eClipse?
Well, looking at their lineups, 07 is going to be bringing 3 5As, a 103B, and 3 Bat Chats, where eClipse, an IS-7, 5A, 3 Bat Chats, a Patton, and an Object 140. Now, as the defenders, eClipse has got a strong lineup here. They've got vision control, they've got plenty of damage output, especially consistent damage output paired with all that burst. 07 looks like they're going to be setting up to kind of just hammer and anvil against that defensive position, bring in that 103B as some just consistent DPM when they start an engagement, and that would be ideal for 07. eClipse is not going to want to let that happen, are they? They're going to want to slow that down. They're going to want to break up whatever attack and just tear apart 1 or 2 tanks exposed early on. And we can see EXO making an opening run towards the middle, where he may end up meeting FC Dynamo.
Yep. Now, one thing I do want to point out is notice Photo Finish, the main heavy tank player for eClipse, is playing the M48 Patton instead.
You're right, that M48, where is he?
He's over just in the bowl, just in the south there.
Just being an object.
Just poking around. Now remember, the Patton, the reason why we've seen a lot of teams start to bring it, besides the buff, is it already had a base 420 meter view range. So when you add in the coated optics and rations and all that stuff, you can really stick that view range out. And actually notice, he doesn't have coated optics on there, he has binoculars.
Yep, and also looks like there's going to be a fight opening up in the middle. Going to be following, looks like T1 Diabetic along with Positive as they begin an engagement. They're finding out there's some Bat Chats here. They find out there's a 103B, and T1 just realized that he might have gotten a little bit over his head. And focus fire onto Colosoid.
They're trying to focus him out right now. They might get Colosoid, but T1 Diabetic's going to go down first, actually. Dark God Zim's pushing in, trying to clean that up. They still haven't killed him, and now Dark God Zim's down to basically a one-shot. Positive still at 900. FC Dynamo with the flank coming in behind. He's going to pick up the kill onto Dark God Zim, fellow Ukrainian.
There we go. Drawcab from downtown gets a shot into Warbender. Although I don't know if this is really going to pay off for eClipse. This is looking good for 07 as they're going to finish off their last one over there. Positive. Now fight in the middle. We've got 4 tanks from eClipse. Drawcab has lost the high ground. He's joined EXO. And in the bowl, it looks like a fight versus Arklet. Even Germ is going to come and join the fight. Bounce onto Arklet's going to keep him alive a little bit longer as Germ slides into the fight as well.
Arklet's down to a one-shot. Photo Finish is doing what he can, that Patton to close.
Ammo rack onto Germ from Makos.
Now there are 2 one-shots alive for 07. HP is only up by about 1,000 in their favor, which isn't that much considering they have 2 extra guns alive right now. 3 extra guns. EXO's going to get focused out. He's going to go down. Former 07 player there. And now Drock is going to take a majority of the fire. FC Dynamo fully loaded. Going to rifle off his shots. Actually puts one into the track. Last shell in his clip.
Yep. And with only a few tanks left, Drawcab and his IS-7's got a dead driver and not a lot else. A few hundred hit points. Photo Finish is just trying to hang out. And this is looking like an 07 Game 1 victory. Although Andy Pans looks like he's disconnected. Lucky him. And, well, that's one way to start a match there. 07 actually needs to watch out, because if they're not careful, Andy Pan's just disconnected in the middle of a match, means the gameplay continues.
And he has a majority of the HP, so this isn't actually even over yet.
Yeah, this changes the whole game right here. If Andy Pans reconnects, he should be okay, and this could actually be salvageable for 07. But if 07 actually, if they squander this, they will be in quite a bit of trouble. And there we go. Photo Finish decides to run on in, goes for, looks like a ram.
Trying to find it. He bounces one and gets the ram kill.
Nice.
Using the weight of that American heavy tank. Obviously a good bit heavier than that bad chat.
There we've got IS-7 backing up against.
And the Stir finally puts one into photo finish.
Was that? Is Andy Pan? Did he just get ammo racked?
I believe so.
Yes, he did. All right, nicely done. That finished Andy Pan's from a few thousand health. So, like, right on.
Now,
okay.
This just got flipped on its head. This should have been an easy win, but an unfortunate disconnect is going to make this a 2-2 game. Makos needs to start landing some shots. The bat chat of Kolstoid is coming in behind, but he's a one-shot. They don't know where he is the advantage that he does have, is so he could rotate in.
Here. All right. So Kolstoid's moving into the backfield right now. We'll see what he's able to do. Is he should be able to find photo finish. 296 hit points. That means a kill shot right there. There shouldn't be. I don't think it's possible to load that roll.
Not out of the bat chat now.
No. Although Drawcap should
Stir.
take 2 shells. In the meantime, jump over see what Makos is doing. So here we go. The setup is thus. Makos sets up in. Nicely done.
Photo
there we go.
finish
Never mind.
Gets
Okay.
caught out, but Drock trades it out and takes down Kolstoid. So now it's a 1-on-1. So now we have a 1-shot IS-7 versus a 2-shot STRV.
And the STRV has superior damage output. They both know where the other is, so they both understand that this is, oh, nicely done. Blind shot from Makos. He's gonna back off, and it's a 1v1. All right, Makos has the advantage. If Drawcab can get a good bounce and close the distance, he should be able to win. On top of that, APCR shells, as opposed to heat, means he has a better chance of penning the front, should he find an angle that works. Makos, by the way, is on attack, meaning he has to cap this. The IS-7 from Drawcab is the one who will need to defend the base.
Yep, so now Makos is going to get up here now.
There's some disadvantages about this one cap that he's going to.
Now the one
he's going to go there?
It looks like he is, but the one thing to note in his favor is he does have the camo net and binos on that STRV. So if he can get set up, there's a pretty solid chance that he will spot Drock first.
This is noted, although Drock does have coated optics on his IS-7, and
they're both running rations as well, so that cancels about out. But something I want to point out here real quick, if you look at the bottom of the screen, look at the damage both these players have in this game. Makos 4,600 and Drock has put up 5,200. So both these players have already done their weight and then some this game. So anything after this is already icing on the cake. Now, obviously for 07, Andy Pan's disconnecting was extremely unlucky. And then Drock did a good job to find that ammo rack on the stationary IS-7, or not IS-7, but 5A.
And now Makos leaves his position overlooking the #1 cap. And he'll be moving forward. Now, what do you think of this low ground move? There's a bit of a risk. Makos might roll around a corner and discover, to his surprise, that there's an IS-7.
Not as big a risk as it could have been, just because of the changes to the repair kits. Now instead of having a repair kit that will probably be gone, he has one they can use again. So it's even late game now. If he takes a shot, he doesn't have to worry about being perma-tracked because the IS-7 can't reload that fast, and he has the repair kit to go ahead and be able to get that instantly. Now, something I would keep an eye on, though, is the IS-7 being an IS-7. If it can pick up enough speed, a sizable ram onto that 103 may not be enough to kill it, but would be enough to put him down into one-shot range. So,
although the 103B just has to hit him, really. He's got 210 hit points.
Yeah, and the Sturv doesn't even know where to go right now because
his cap is the answer. You have to put that pressure on. You have to make the IS-7 go somewhere. Otherwise, just like every defender, they'll find a place to hide. And there's always some place to hide until time runs out. And what's going to actually... Do you think this will be important? Drawcap might have to approach from a really exposed angle. And that's great for Makos.
That's the only problem is he's going to have to drive... To get there in time in an IS-7, he's going to have to drive pretty much straight up that middle ridge. Now, it looks like actually the path he's going to take is actually going to be the smarter of the two, which is he's going to go back over towards the 6-7 line and approach through that 7-8 area in the low ground where that 2-cap won't have vision, so he knows that he can't get spotted. Now, while it is an IS-7, it is fast enough to get a recent mobility buff during the last patch. So he should be able to close quickly enough. Minute 35 on the clock.
Yep, two minutes on. So one reset will guarantee success at this point. All that has to happen is Drawcab needs to land one shell onto Makos for a reset, and that's a victory for eClipse. Makos, if he can just get that kill onto Drawcab, has this in hand. That's the trick. And it'll be a good minute before Drawcab can get into position, because something that is hard to remember on Sand River and easily forgotten by a lot of heavy tank drivers is just how long it takes to move around. And yeah, you can take the easiest route and get around fairly quickly, but in any real match, you're going to have trouble. Now, there it is.
Is he spotted?
Yes, he is. Makos has the spot. He's got the binos up.
The hold down cover, but he can't spot him from this range, even with the coated optics. He's trying to find him.
He's going to risk one shell.
Now
Doesn't have time for another.
He knows that Drock just got a shot onto him, so he knows he's somewhere
there
where
it is.
he can
Shut
blind
out.
fire. But nope, not going to take it. Makos picks up the kill, and that does secure it. Did it the hard way, but 07 get their first win of the night.
Nicely done. Already my prediction is wrong, so is yours. So,
Yeah.
big congratulations to 07. That shows a lot. Although I do have to say, I think the center turning point that we have to agree upon is Andy Pans being, well,
Arguably it didn't. I mean, it got
disconnected.
closer, but it wasn't a complete turning point.
That
they still
almost was lost by 07. They had it in their hands for a minute with such an overmatch. Andy Pans is sitting on a ton of hit points. He's in a great position to hold down the tanks remaining, and
he was just in a great position in general, just to bully. All he had to do was hold his W key and right click, left click.
Exactly.
Just auto aim and fire, and he would have cleaned that match up. But the disconnect there, definitely unlucky. Now this opening play though is where this really went wrong for eClipse. T1 just committed in, decided to go up and over.
There's cover fire coming from the middle ridge, by the way. That's not on the camera right now. Yeah, that's something to take into account, but it wasn't enough because of the way this position is. It favors 07's tanks already there, and those tanks were distracted by other tanks from 07.
The shots aren't really consistent enough in that area.
Exactly, and then these ammo racks. That was huge. Just targeting the correct place on a tank. I know a lot of players know how to shoot correctly when they get the opportunity, but very rarely do you get the chance to just throw ammo racks out like that.
Yep. Yeah, so good positioning there from Makos, just on the one corner of the cap where he could spot that middle ridge, and just unlucky for Drock trying to take that route. Now, Drock was the top fantasy point scorer that game, 105 fantasy points, 5,200 damage, 4 kills.
Nice.
However, Makos, 4,800, 4 kills, almost 100 fantasy points. FC Dynamo and Kolsoid also top damage dealers for 07 that game. And then Photo Finish in that M48, 2,600, 2 kills, and it drops off pretty much after there, sub 2K. Nothing too surprising. And then on the second page, you know, Batchat only doing 1 shot of damage is always unfortunate. However, in this case, just because of the push he was put into, kind of understandable.
Yeah. Also note, Drawcat blocked about 1,400 in 1,400 damage in that IS-7, so got to give him some credit there. IS-7 pretty much is a great tank on Cinder River. I've always loved it on this map. It's just fast enough, it's just nimble enough, it leads the charge, and it hits hard enough. I've always felt it does just enough in every category to be great on this map. Pair it with some nice mediums like Batchats and 140s, and you're going to go far.
Yep, absolutely. And now we're getting ready for our second map. Tank lineups coming in, nothing too crazy here. An I-7, a Kronwagen, a 5A, Sturv, 3 Batchats.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, Eclipse on their hand, 2 5As, a Sturv, 3 Batchats, and an Object 140. So EXO really liking that Russian medium. It's not a terrible choice for this map. Has the turret, a little bit better gun depression than some of the other tanks.
Which is important on this map.
And the consistent fire, but the other thing to note, though, is the low alpha damage that it brings, unlike the Batchat.
Yeah, but what's nice about the 140s is even though relatively for their tier they don't hit super hard, they're still dangerous enough that they can control you. What'll happen is they'll get a track shot and they'll be reloaded before you're able to repair. Although at this level of play, with the crews and the skills that everyone's running, I do believe that a lot of the time you'll repair just in time to get retracked. But looking at the opening moves, we've got a standard defense on the north side from 07.
And a very, very vulnerable split coming out of Eclipse here. If you notice, 5A and a Batchat in the north, the 5A already getting spotted trying to take that Bravo line approach. The Sturv and another 5A chilling out in base, and 2 Batchats all the way down in the south with only EXO on that middle ridge.
And in the north, looks like they're going to move Makos into position. That's 07, shifting their tank destroyer to Overwatch mid. May become a factor when Photo Finish pokes his head up. At the same time, I think it was the Kronwagen was spotted heading to the north and east, so there may be some expectation from Eclipse that a tank is moving in that direction. Arclet spots Photo Finish in the mid of the map. Just a little bit of, you know, hey, how you doing from the heavy tankers?
Something to keep an eye on here is this battle going down in the south. We have Drock and Dark God Zim coming up on this Kronwagen. Andy's shifted down here late game, and he's going to be extremely hard to dig out because he's in a nice hold down spot, 5A to cover, and a bat chat can rotate quickly to get some cover fire as well. And I believe actually the IS-7 on that middle ridge should also have another angle into here, tight angle, but enough to get a shot or two off. And Andy Pans is going to be spotted. Drock's going to try to take a shot at him and decide that's not worth it and back away.
Yep, puts himself on reload, and the waiting game begins. So what do you do here if you're eClipse? Are you going to decide to leave? I guess you're pinned at this point because escape is highly risky, especially with the positions of our defenders.
If you're dead set on taking this south right now, heads up.
No one's watching.
You have to find some sort of a way to drive a wedge in this defense. The only viable option is to try to get some tanks in behind on that G line or maybe down on the H line and get some tanks engaged with that 5A and the bat chat at F0. If you can get them engaged with a different target, maybe your 2 bat chats could bum rush that Kronwagen with enough in their clip to kill him. You're still going to have to pay a toll, but at least if you're managing the toll from the start, you understand it, you can do something to minimize it.
And look at that Germ out in the open, taking shells as he's going on his way to the backside of the number 2 ridge. This is a common position to rush early in the game, and this is the example of why it sucks to do this late game. Everyone's already in position to deal with you. And almost Mako sinks a shot. Positive on reload is moving up at the same time, and the eClipse support is very spread out right now. Something I'm concerned about, but not too worried, I would say. 07 does have the opportunity to strike now and get a few kills, but they probably expect that there's enough support in tow that they should worry about.
Now eClipse are doing what I would much prefer. You know, I just talked about how to try to attack that south corner down there, which you know, there's only a few options to do, but the better option, in my opinion, is just drive away and go fight somewhere else that favors you, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a good adjustment. And I guess the whole strategy looking, I mean, this is all hindsight now. The whole point of what eClipse was doing was a very old school approach of just spread out early game, put your scouts on your flanks, see what's going on, and adjust your mid tanks, like the slower heavies and tank destroyers, into position once you have a good feel for your defenders' positions, right? It's like, okay, we've got tanks in the south, let's do something up north. You know, but they might not shift, and if they do, fantastic for them. If they don't, then even better for us.
So far, the bat shots from eClipse have just taken their time poking out and taking damage for eClipse. The guns from 07 have what we call peeker's advantage. They're holding that angle ahead of time, waiting for the tank to pull into it, and it's a lot harder to pull forward and line up your shot as opposed to just hold the angle, which they're already doing.
Yep. And Positive takes half his hit points, Drawcab's about a quarter of his health gone, and Germ is almost dead. So this is going to be a very risky push with 10,000 versus 13,000 hit points with 07 with that 3K advantage there. So as eClipse is getting ready to go, let's see, where are they going to strike first? They're going to wait for an opening, which may be towards Arclit. That might be the jump, but there is a lot of risk. You can see Andy Pans on the mini-map right now has a position he could cover Arclit, and Photo's not exactly in a spot where he's trading all that well with the group of tanks waiting for him. There we go, Fosta fires. Photo takes the hit. FC Dynamo peeks out at a wider angle so that if Photo doesn't back off enough, he takes more damage.
Yep, and now Photo finish, and that 5A just holding that angle up there, making sure no one creeps up. Now, the other thing I do like is if you look to the south, the Batchat's retaken that south area, the Kron's moved up on that middle ridge. Now, if they find Andy Pans in his current position, that's going to be a lot more favorable to them long-term in terms of taking that 1 cap. It's going to be a lot easier to dig him out of that pocket as opposed to that J1 pocket, or J0 pocket, excuse me, just because there's a lot less support there.
Yeah. And this is I'm actually, James, this is not going well for eClipse. They've got 4 minutes left.
No, they're down 3,000 HP. Positionally, they're not in a great position right now. Now, the guns in the south can cover each other decently from the spots they're at, but those 3 Batchats in the north and the 5A, or 2 Batchats in the 5A in the north, are pretty isolated. Only the 5A can get covering shots.
Okay, there he is. I was wondering what T1 was doing. I was like, oh no, another fire drill.
He was worried there for a second.
I was worried too. My heart stopped for a moment because I was like, wait, T1, what are you doing, buddy? Is everything okay? He started moving. He was waiting for the bat chat down south.
Yeah,
Dark God Zim, who's just opened up on Andy Pans. T1 moves up the hill, and this is a bit of a surprise cap in a way. Exo's going to get really close to the cap so he can try and avoid...
This is how you deal with a Kronwagen. Even when it's a hold down in a strong position, you have to find a way to do what we call breaking its turret, and that is open up multiple angles onto it. The Kronwagen is great hold down when it can look one direction. If there is one tank staring at it and you can be hold down and stare directly at them, it is near impossible to penetrate. But when you can get tanks on opposite sides of the map and make him have to pick more than one, you're going to make his life hard, and he's going to have to do what he's doing now, which is back off into the low ground and not get vision and not contest. So this so far is good play from eClipse, but they need to find a way to dig him out.
Yeah, they do. Germ, what is he doing over there? He's looking for that shot on Andy. At the same time, Look Positive and Drawcab are moving back. This is a little bit of a retreat, while Photo Finish is being left behind, and he's going to get overmatched. There are 1, 2, 3 tanks showing up, and FC Dynamo's taking about half his hit points in the opening volleys. Kolosoy moves in, starts emptying his clip, and Damage needs to hit Photo Finish now. We need one more shell, and that's all it takes. There we go. And Photo Finish, oh, Positive even dying in the background. Did not see that coming.
Drock's the only one that got out of there alive, but that was just overall a great trade from 07. Now they're in a good position to start moving forward.
And Dark God Zim moves in on Andy.
But now Drock's going to come in inside at the same time these tanks are pushing through, and Drock could have himself a really nice crossfire here, or he could get caught out in the open, which seems to be the more likely right now as Warbander comes up and over. He gets spotted. He's trying to line up the shot. Drock's going to start taking damage. Arclet's moving across in the open ground there. They should find the isolation onto Germ. They do.
And there we go. Drawcap's out and dead. Dark God Zim and his Batchat somewhere near the fight, trying to figure out what to do next. Just kind of running a little bit, and okay, he doesn't flip himself totally over, but he does a stylish flip. That was cool too. All right.
And 07 have showed up to play today, at least on Sand River. They do not want that 0-7 record. And they are taking it right to eClipse, and eClipse maybe being caught a little bit unready.
I don't know. Exo also trying to show us what he's made of. He's got 2 tanks that are one-shots right below him in the low ground while Dark God gets taken down. And Exo's doing all he can, but I don't know how much longer he can keep this up. There he gets one.
To make it so it's not a clean swipe, not an ace. No, he gets a second. He's doing what he can.
This won't do. He's
still got to shoot through 4,800 in 50 seconds. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah. This, by the way, this is over, but we're just kind of appreciating his.
He keeps fighting. Keeps in the fight.
Yeah.
Keeps doing what he can.
07 picking up a game number 2. Okay. I'm okay with this.
We see you, 07. We see you.
Yeah, we see what's happening. Eclipse, what's going on? I don't know. This is our traditionally second place team. Right now, third place, but not by much. Is right now starting down 2-0.
They haven't finished outside of the top 2 in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
So this is one surprising, just the way it's starting off. But I don't know, James. I want to pose this question to you. Why do you think eClipse is losing? Do you think it really has to do with just pure skill versus skill?
I think it's Sand River. I think it's part of it. I think eClipse maybe took us something a little bit lightly in the map picking, and seeing Sand River here maybe underestimated what they had. And if I can't recall if we've seen 07, or not 07, Eclipse actually play much Sand River this season.
They have played a little bit already. I think they've
played 5 battles, 60% win rate on it this season. So, but 5 battles is a fairly low sample size, though, overall.
You're right. Next to other teams in this league, that's not the most, but it also isn't too lightly.
But what I want to talk about is 07. They're both their setups fundamentally very strong. They understood what they were looking for, and they capitalized on the mistakes of Eclipse. They bled a lot of HP. Now look at Mako, 2nd game in a row, top damage for 07, 3,582 fantasy points. Arclet, 2,200, 2 kills, 58 fantasy points. Drops off in damage after that. Now mostly
a low accuracy game altogether. Actually, let's note that a lot more 100% are. You would expect a little bit more of that. So there's a lot of missed shots, a lot of just blind fire.
A lot of shots at long range, a lot of poking around corner and trying to snap a shot off before you get hit up in the north. So understandable a good bit.
Nothing to be worried about, just noting that it's a little lower than usual. So you'll see that a lot on more, foliage heavy maps like Murawonka a lot of the time.
Now we are going on to one of Eclipse's best maps, Prokhorovka, which they have a 62% win rate on. So this is going to be a tall task for 07. Now, this is, like I said earlier, this is 07's most played map. However, most played doesn't mean best map. It means they've played it the most. That could also mean they've lost on it the most.
Yeah, it's whichever way you want to look at it. Although there is something to note, which is that experience on broadcast and official matches is valuable because the pressure is on. These really mean something. And it tends to affect players differently.
Yep. Now lineups coming in: 07 and I7 a 5A, 2 STRVs and 3 Batchets.
Defense.
eClipse on the other hand, 4 5As, a 263 and 2 Batchets.
I know you like the 263.
Yep. Talked about it before. It's one of my favorite tanks. High velocity shells, laser accurate, high penetration.
The armor's fun.
Yeah, the armor's fun. I mean, the way this tank literally started existing was they took an Object 261. They said, hey, what happens if we point that gun instead of up in the air at just another tank? We fix it down, and then we just throw a ton of armor onto it.
Yeah, it's the way I used to play artillery back in the day, just updated and made better in every single way. I don't see a downside to it.
So it's definitely a fun tank to play. Now, we've seen it off and on in the league over the last couple of years. It can be a strong tank. Its DPM is decent, but the Sturv is kind of outdated it a little bit.
All right, jumping to another subject. Sorry, James, real quick. Is Colosoid going for some mid-spotting? Only spots Exo, and Exo spots FC Dynamo and Colosoid. At the same time, the heavy tank's rolling right up the middle to just start fighting things out. Dark God spotted finally. So a little bit of information for 07. They know there are eClipse tanks present in the middle. They're probably putting things together and understanding that, okay, this is going to be some mid-bridge, little bit of a fight back and forth. Dark God Zim taking a little bit of damage just to start this one off. And where is that? Where did that hit? Where did you get yourself hit, buddy? I'm trying to see.
Now, 07 is pretty split right now. Now, they can cover each other decently. However, 5A and the Sturv and the Batchat are only tanks really together over on that 1-2 line. And because of the defilade along that the south or the north end of that 1 line, it will be kind of hard for some of these other guns to support them. I7 in the middle should have some shots, but that Sturv over at A6 will have fairly limited shots if eClipse do make this push.
Yeah, let's go try and show everyone that A6 angle. That's Andy Pans, and you can kind of see his mid-ridge view in just a second and how tricky it is. You're about the same elevation as the mid-ridge, so it's nice if you're firing that far off, but very often it's difficult to even see anything out there. There's a lot of trees in the way. There's not a lot of really solid angles. By the time anything is spotted and you can see it, it can have fired and backed off. So it really makes this a tricky place to play, but we do see players really succeed.
And Arclet taking a lot of damage in that I7.
Ouch. Why, buddy? And where? Right on the side of his turret. He's looking the wrong way. And that's where T1 Diabetic, off in the distance, was able to get an angle. Let's look at some lasers.
T1's already done 1,200 damage this game, and there really hasn't been that much going on, so just punishing, getting those 2 shots into Arclet.
And what's he going to do next? All right, looks like another shift from eClipse. They decided after going a little bit on that west side, maybe not, and that east side should be a little bit better. Knowing that Arclet's in the middle, also, James, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but if I'm eClipse and I see Arclet, I know that there's probably tanks in the far west still.
Yeah, what eClipse is banking on is that from the intel the I7's over there, that there aren't many guns, if any, on the 8-9 line side of things. Now, they may be in for a bit of a surprise because both STRVs and 2 Batchats have rotated over here, so a little bit of false information maybe from 07, purposely sticking that I7 up there.
I agree. It's a good adjustment because what it does is you can shift the 103Bs to the west, but if you really need to defend the 1 cap, you don't need to stay over there. You can end up retaking or controlling this zone from the mid with your 103Bs. So it's ultimately it has some slight weaknesses that you could exploit, I guess, as the attacker, but you'd have to know the whole layout in order to do that. In this case, you're not going to be able to read a very accurate, you're not going to get a very accurate read on this position. Fire is opening up, Germ taking a shell, second shell going into him, that's from Andy Pans in the mid-ridge, as the Batchats are starting to just kind of give ground, back off as much as they can.
These Sturvs are really pumping out a lot of damage right now, and eClipse are continuing to bleed as T1 Diabetic finally starting to show up to the fight. However, We'll see if T1 can really get in here. He's aiming his shot up. Gets a nice connection there onto Andy Pants, but he's taken 2 in return.
Oh, I forgot it hit a little harder.
Oh yeah, 263, 560 alpha, so
Oh, yeah.
not bad at all. Starts chipping away. Now he's moving a little bit closer, trying to get some more cover, trying to deal with FC Dynamo. Andy Pens, though, trying to get up on that ridge, doing what he can to pump out damage. And eClipse are bleeding left, right, and center right now. Now they may find the isolation onto FC Dynamo. Positive have been trading, but T1 Diabetic ends up picking up the kill. But they're 2,000 HP down right now. Dark God Zim's bleeding a lot of HP over on the 6th line.
Yep, he's about to go down. There he goes, Colosoid getting the last shell for the kill. And photo finish now. I'm worried about him. He's out in the open against Colosoid and Makos. Drops off a cliff. That did not help. Manages to get enough damage in that he can shoot 1 more shell before he is dead himself. Now,
Randall.
Yeah.
Randall.
What?
What is...
Yep.
What is this?
Yep.
What is this?
This is World of Tanks. This is the WGLNA. Welcome. I've been doing this for a few years now. Honestly, this always seems to happen, and I don't have an explanation. There is none. There's no good reason, if you've been watching this league so far, that 07 should be losing to eClipse. What? How on 3 battles in a row have they had this much trouble?
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
Eclipse's match versus top tier.
Oh, the style points. Colosoid comes in with a Goomba right at the end. Well done. All right, 07. Okay.
I'm not dreaming,
That's
right?
a 3. That's a 3. That's a goose egg.
Okay.
This isn't wrong.
Okay.
Our camos are not wrong. The UI is correct. No one's made any mistakes, James. This is reality.
Are we sure?
This is real life. There are cats and dogs. They live together now. It's that kind of a world, all right? So what you're watching, what you're seeing is actually some clever play from 07. So 07 isn't making bad plays. I think we could agree on that. They're not necessarily making breakout plays. eClipse, on the other hand, they're taking risks here and there, and they seem to be taking a lot of the wrong risks, which it's not that they're taking these chances and they're going for these little attacks, and they're necessarily the worst possible strategy or choice. It's that they're chancing or they have to take a bet a few times here or there. Like Sand River. There's a gamble, but go ahead.
No, I'd really like the read there out of 07. The positioning of all their tanks. The IS-7 went up there, got spotted. They realized that one-line push wasn't coming. And so they decided, all right, we're going to rotate everything over to defend the 789. You know, they figured that's where that push would come from, especially once those tanks from eClipse got unspotted. They showed up in that middle ridge. They got spotted, and then they backed off. So when tanks back off like that, and you stop getting lights on them, if you don't know they're there and you can't identify that they're there, you as the other team all of a sudden have to go, what are they doing? You have 2 options. You can assume that they're moving somewhere else, or that they're sitting right there where you can't see them. And if you peek forward and you find out that they are not where you think they are, not in that middle ridge, means they've gone somewhere else, at which point you have to figure out where is that somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think 07 did a good job in this case of shifting their 103s over and kind of predicting it. They called it. They understood what was coming their way, and the defense was solid. There was nothing eClipse could do once they decided to initiate the attack. There was no way to really salvage that situation.
Yeah, but Andy Pan's top damage dealer, 3,500 damage in a Sturv that game. So the Sturvs so far really paying off for 07 in all 3 games they played so far.
They're a huge damage dealer, and I think everyone appreciates their potential damage. I think there's a lot of skepticism towards their flexibility, but they're just a solid.
They pump out so much raw damage.
Yeah.
If you can set up a strat to really work with them, you can do a lot. Now, we're still seeing the Sturvs. 07, 3 5As, a Sturv, and 3 Batchats.
And then on eClipse's side, you've got the IS-7s, 5A, Foch B, 103B, and then the 2 Batchats. So we're getting a nice rotation from eClipse. Thank you, eClipse, of various tank destroyers. So we've seen the Foch B a little bit here and there. And it's got a small drum autoloader. Sorry, not small. Sizable autoloader.
6 round drum.
Easy to underestimate when you're used to seeing a lot of the French tanks and how damage trade-offs work with the clip size. But this tank destroyer hits hard, and it has plenty of shells to dish out. Solid defender for burst. But will that be relevant? Let's look at the opening moves. You've got 3 tanks from 07 moving to the mid. That's FC Dynamo, and 2 5As, heavy tanks. They're going to meet EXO, where they'll start trading off. Photo Finish will be there too, and Colosoid is also in the region. So there's a wide spread from 07 to get some intel, maybe a little crossfire, just the same as what eClipse did last game. You got Mako setting up a crossfire in Exo's position, so when he peeks, he can put some damage in the side of his turret while he's looking over at Fosta. I'm expecting to see a very similar shift, and both teams may try very similar strategies. We may have almost the exact same situation as last battle based on what we see right here, right now.
And Dark got Zim just chilling out on the one line and just getting the early lights, but so far no one has moved down there. Now they will have some idea because it looks like Makos has been sending some shots towards that middle ridge, so someone on eClipse, I'm sure at this point, has called out that there is at least one tank on that one line, just from the knowledge knowing that that's where that shot's coming from.
And I've just been kind of peeking around at everyone on both sides, and this is going to be a slow start. So just kind of settle in for a minute here, James. Just enjoy the ride, because this is going to, and this is where we're going to find those little subtleties that you're always watching for, right? Makos. This is it. A little blind fire. He's going to be just kind of seeing what he gets. He can't really confirm when he finds a tank or not. He can't really hit too many things, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, Makos is firing off some more shots, but so far hasn't gotten any connect. So looking at it, HP is basically still in favor of eClipse, but only by a little bit. Now let's go ahead and listen into 07, because they're the ones that have to attack right now. And they have to break this defense from eClipse.
Too low.
Dynamo got lit here. He's like very close. He's maybe in, I don't know. Где он?
So what do they have? Do they have three?
They have a badge here. Maybe it's STR. I don't know.
Probably have STR here, Fosh, and a bat there.
They have a bat like very close. He's spotting us when you peek in these bushes.
Could just be have one STR here and be giving up one line.
All right, I think we.
Andy can go hill if we jump over 0.
Yeah, I think that's probably a solution, huh? Maybe we just.
I created the IS-7. I hit the IS-7. Hit the IS-7.
You're hitting. He's tracked. He's tracked.
A little higher.
Blinded me.
Spotted. You have to shoot higher.
I'm clipping. He was out of draw. He hit me with the tracer.
All right.
So that's он выстрелил по трассе.
Do we? Okay, so it's either we like force a stack here and hope that we can catch them on the rotate down the one, or we just try and pressure this.
I can just dump off 0 the same way Germ did, and we'll light their close spawning thing.
Мы можем быстрее. Два тяжа на бе, серого остаюсь здесь, тяжем просто пропушить 0 и за ним сразу.
Это он еще будет делать, Анди будет пушить 0 за тяжем. А стерва на первый?
Пускай кроет наших тяжей, он еще заходит по любому поле и убивает наших тяжей.
Can you, spot, STR, sit in the bush spot, like, if they're gonna go here to kill our heavies, just...
I7.
I think Darkwood and I stay right here, basically, and we take this with the other 4 tanks.
Yes. Sturv is covering us from there, because they will definitely try to rotate.
Yeah.
But just risk it.
We're not jumping over the tracks, Darkwood, so yeah.
I don't know, I'm just moving around.
Nice ball. Or Bender, how far up can I drive before I'm gonna get lit?
Batchet is here. What? I got lit like very close. He's like somewhere, I don't know, somewhere here or something.
Okay.
Maybe they have 3 things.
Not some spooky
They have
stuff.
a tank here, most likely.
Can we just blind that? Why do we even have to do this? That's...
We got 5 minutes, guys.
Yeah. I know, now we can't blind that.
I get spotted very early. I can't really blind that.
The problem is, yeah, they're not really able to get set up to blind.
Alright. Amen. Here I go.
Я могу, короче, стрелять по E7, но я не буду.
Alright. Andy's going off. Cool, so I just see where Bender. Be ready for it. Because what we're hoping for is that you just find a single batch out, basically.
I'm not lit. Lit now.
I7 is speaking aggressively.
Fosh B. So Fosh B at the crossing in A6. Who's back?
There we have it. That's Hero 7's plan. They're trying to open up this 8-9 line. Let's go ahead and listen to eClipse right now to see how they deal with this push out of 07.
Where are they going?
I'll shoot the house.
Try to shoot the building down.
I'm reloading.
Kill Arclit.
Try to kill him.
Remember, they haven't committed the other bats yet. They haven't committed the other bats.
They're there.
Oh, they're there. I got lit. Kill Arclit.
I got
Go
lit
mid,
from...
the STRV's probably still...
Arclit first, Arclit
STRV's
first.
still probably A1, or here.
I'll try to take a hit for you, Zim. Okay, pasta shot. Someone finish Arclit. I'm not getting shot from the south, so there's nothing down in like the rails.
STRV's on hold then.
Are you get shot by his... Yo, help me, Smith.
Oh,
I need to clip.
I'm
Yeah,
going in the middle
I'm trying to
get a different angle.
Oh, service still here. Service.
What is he doing?
Oh, okay.
I'm not lit.
I'm shooting Warbander.
It just gets safe from them. We can send them later to kill them. I mean, they haven't killed anyone yet either.
HP. Dynamo's pushing out.
Die7's careful of this.
He's pushing into positive.
I'm just gonna jump over.
Yeah, we should just jump over and just push down whatever's over here. Go away from the
It's fine.
He's like,
No, he's 400. He's
it's very over.
That's the other bat. It's close, so we don't help.
it's like that one strat that we
You can see eClipse's reaction cut off a little bit by the Sturv still being all the way over in the 1-2 line, but to be fair, he got off some good damage. However, the problem is he is way out of the fight, and still is right now. He hasn't even rotated in yet, and it's just down to Colsoid and Warbander, and Warbander's about to go down.
Yeah, Warbander, one more. That'll do it. Colsoid remains. Mako's stranded on the other side of the map, by the way. So it'll be just a second more after Colsoid goes down before we're out of game. And, well, there we go. eClipse finally putting a point on the board. I was getting worried, James, because this certainly should not, by the history so far of this season, have gone 1-2-3 in favor of 07. So
this will be the second time that eClipse started off down 3-0. It was the same thing versus top tier. So
right.
Definitely have to keep an eye on that. Now we'll have to see if they can really get things back into high gear, because even this game, well, they won. It is Prokhorovka defense, and they were set up pretty well. They did a decent job of recognizing it, but it wasn't that classic definitive win out of eClipse where you really said that's eClipse, that's why they're our second place team. They just kind of coasted through this game. Now we'll have to see what they do on our next map, if they can really show up to keep things up. Now, the next map, looking over here, is going to be Himmelsdorf. Now, that is a map that eClipse really haven't been that great on traditionally. Now, Germ has a lot of experience on that map and has a really solid understanding. They did beat top tier on Himmelsdorf as their tiebreaker on the last match day, so they obviously have kind of figured it out a little bit. Now, I don't know how to gauge 07 right now, because they've looked. I wouldn't say they've looked great, like a totally different team, but they've looked like a team that is starting to do the fundamentals right.
Yeah, they're hitting a lot of the main points that you would expect from them normally. I would have even ventured to say, like, the 07 we were seeing all season up till now was disappointing, because we had higher expectations. We'd been led to believe that they performed much better. So one could say that they were really in a slump up until now, or up until this point in the season. We will have to see if this performance stays consistent. Yep. But look at the damage across the board in this battle. It looks very consistent, actually. About 2,800 for our top two, EXO and Drawcap.
Foshby getting some decent damage off there. EXO having another great game, standing in once again for No Nick, No Skill, and he's been making a case for himself. 2,800 damage, 1 kill, 72 fantasy points, pretty solid evening. Drops off a good bit after there, Makos, 2K, etc. Second page. Nothing too crazy, especially since those 5As got isolated so early and went down. That's, the damages they got up there is about to be expected.
Yeah, so nothing crazy right there. Nothing hugely stand out. A very normal battle in that case. But now, as we go into Himmelsdorf, let's move the subject to there, James. I know you've said that 07, you don't know how to read them right now. So let's say that you can't. I don't feel like I can either, because guess what? 07, the 07 that showed up today is not the 07 that you and I have been studying. It is not the 07 that we've been reviewing the replays of. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit sharper. At least it comes out that way with the way eClipse is playing.
It seems, I mean, the best way I can say it right now is 07 just seemed like they're doing the basics that we expected them to be able to do all along right. Identifying their overmatches easily and taking them, just setting up very, very, very tight early on, not giving anything free to their opponent. Now looking at the lineups coming in here, 07, a 50B, an I7, 2 Mice, T57, an E3, and a Batchat. eClipse, on the other hand, coming in here with 2 Mice, a Type 5, a 113, a 5A, an E3, and a Bad Chat of their own.
I was going to the T57 from Arclit. That's going to be something to follow. It's not normal. It's not the most common pick on this map. Usually a 50B is chosen, and that would be because of shell type and also just generally performance.
Now that
parameters.
shell type is a double-edged sword. On most maps, especially in your random battles, the shell type works against you with the heat shells, shooting at the sides of tanks, spaced armor, having to deal with, you know, if you hit any sort of, you know, fence post or anything like that, shell detonating, not doing any damage. That can work against you. However, remember, we're on Himmelsdorf right now. What are the most common types of tanks that we're going to see on Himmelsdorf right now?
Plenty of well-armored heavies.
Well-armored heavy tanks, such as Mouses, Type 5s, and E3s. And that's where the 57 will really excel. And you also have to remember that it just has an absurd amount of DPM as a heavy tank. You know, it's got, you know, 1,600 damage in the clip. 4 shots can pop off in 6 seconds.
And the reload.
And then the reload's only 22 seconds on the clip. So it can really dump out a world of hurt, especially if you use it in a push. Now, it's by no means the same 57 that we saw a while ago. Not, you know, several years ago before the 50B was buffed and the 57 lost mobility. It used to be able to do everything the 50B could do and then some, and everyone just brought it because it was more accurate. Its DPM was insane. It was mobile enough that it could keep up with the 50B, so there was just no reason. And then they rebalanced it a couple years ago, and now it's become a lot more of a choice between the two of them.
Has it really been a few years at this point? Wow.
Yeah, that balance happened right before League became Tier 10.
Yeah, it's amazing how long this stuff's been going on now, when we can describe everything in years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So.
Yeah, no other way to say it than that.
Yup. Okay. So, standard defense, nice west side. Positives giving us an example of.
Sorry, we need some like dubstep playing in the background right now as we watch Positive just dance his tank around. I'm sorry.
Just like make a frag video entirely of Positive wiggling his tank.
Yep. Some blind shots going back and forth. Type 5 firing one off. Not getting a connection though.
Not finding anything because there's nothing there.
No, it looks like we're going to have an 8-line push coming out of 07 right now.
Well, 07 will. eClipse is nowhere near. Like, okay, Positive's finally moving up, which I always find risky, but I won't blame him too much. And the Type 5, that's photo finish. He's just chilling out, being a Type 5 heavy tank. That's what they do. And then everything is spotted. This entire push. And there's a shell and Andy Pence for 15. Let's see, who else might take a shell? Arclit?
Now, the one thing to note, we talk about paying a toll. When you're going to push across an area, you know that there's going to be guns on you, and you're going to take some damage. Notice what 07 did there to minimize that. They were all together in one ball, and they were 2x2 and not single stacked. So what that does, that limits the exposure that you're going to have to other guns looking at you. And if you notice, they only bled 1 shot of damage. Even if there was more guns looking at them, they only would have been able to get 1 volley off of this push as it came across instead of multiple shots over and over again, hence paying a higher toll.
And of course, I'll talk about the trade-offs of this now, as you've mentioned the positives. The trade-offs here are, of course, that you've given away most of your hand. There's not a lot of intel that your opponent needs in order to understand where exactly the bulk of your forces are. They understand the most tanks that went over here. They know what they are. They even know the order, and they even know they were all bunched up, which can work against you if you walk into a crossfire, but in this case, it's just enough intel for eClipse to respond, and they are. Sending the Batchat and a 5A around the backside, 113 up the 8-line Mouse to take the D-line, and 3 tanks, Exo, Diabetic, and Photo, to hold the main line and make the first counterplay.
Yeah, we're actually going to see Dark God Zim and
20 seconds of the
5A from eClipse come up the 0 line in behind. Now they should have an idea that the Batchat's there, but that 5A has not been spotted yet. Now Makos is moving to a different position. Now keep an eye on the clock right now. 8 seconds, they get 1 reset, but the main cap points are going to be with the Colsoid, and they're using double mice to block this cap, so they've put all in. So the IS-7 in the south is the key player right here. He has to make sure that he blocks, and there comes the reset. Now this is up for 07. Now they have to push out. They have to find their overmatches, and they have to get some damage off.
Ooh, nice shot. The positive, he is down very low, 515. Foster reloads, 495. Not quite enough, but there we go. Positive is down. And eClipse is making the counter push around the south. Right now, 3 versus 1. Germ is in a dangerous place, but he's a mouse. He can shrug most of this damage off and keep fighting.
Yeah, he's doing what he can, but the teammates need to come in to support, and the 5A is just pushing straight up for eClipse. He's going to get him behind and find that T57. HP is starting to whittle away for 07, and eClipse are really starting to get some isolations here, but the extra gun is still alive for 07. Can they utilize it right now?
Possibly.
The tracking shot from Germ onto FC Dynamo. Drock and Arclet. Drock should pick up that kill. We're making a bit of a meal of it, and Arclet does get one more shot off, doesn't penetrate.
Arclet, Andypants, and Makos, all 3 down in a matter of seconds. Now only 4 tanks versus 6 on the side of eClipse. Yep, this looks like it will soon be an eClipse victory. There we go. Warbander is down. Fosta up against Germ in a 1v1.
Germ doing what he can to angle that armor.
Fosta shouldn't be able to get the kill.
He gets penetrating shot. Decent roll too, but not enough to kill him.
Yep. And there he goes. He's down. He has pinned Germ a little bit. That's annoying.
Yeah, mouse is big enough. He can bully that ISO now.
Well, Colosoid might, yep, gets the kill.
Float him down long enough for him to pick up the kill, but Type 5 is going to come across. Photo finish going for the ram.
Not quite.
Going to get one more shot, but Type 5 should say, boom, no more. And now it's just down to FC Dynamo. Takes a shot from T1 Diabetic, and Dark God Zim's going to push in and take out the trash.
There you go.
That's going to be it.
All right, there's the second win for eClipse on Himmelsdorf. Well played, solid defense, good reaction. I got to say, 07 was feisty in their response, maybe a little too feisty. They went around with that south push as a counterplay out of the initial reaction. And it was a strong play. It really set a tempo. But then a mouse showed up, and there really wasn't enough damage present or hit points or anything that 3 tanks from the side of 07 were going to sit there against a mouse and be able to deal enough damage to get the kill, which is kind of frustrating if you're 07, because you have plenty of jobs to do up north where there are more of your tanks, more of theirs, and they could have been a little bit easier for 07 to fight.
I agree. The thing with how they set up was they used not 1 but 2 mice to block for the bad shot on cap. So they double layered that. They had the E3 over on the hill still. So that only leaves 3 tanks to defend that south, and it's just they didn't make eClipse pay enough of a toll to get that reset. The IS-7 got in there, got that reset onto the bad chat
without really paying anything.
Without paying anything.
Nothing.
Those 3 tanks weren't really in a position to really capitalize on that. Even if they get the reset, at the bare minimum, it should have been a full tank just dead at that point, and then there still should be more damage being done onto another one. But at that point, over that whole round just fell apart for 07 from that point forward.
Yeah, and it's not a bad play, but there's just so much risk involved. And if eClipse, which they did know the proper answer in this case, because they understood the proper answer and what to do exactly, they responded. They sent some tanks around south, get the resets, understand that all you do is you close in and focus fire better than 07 will, and you'll win. 07, not knowing where their opponents are necessarily coming from, because they have to play rather conservatively to even pressure the cap, you aren't going to react at exactly the right time to make a strong counter push.
Yep.
And that's the trick of putting pressure on the north cap, is you're going to have to get into a brawl. You need to make sure that when that happens, it happens on your terms.
Yeah.
It did not happen on 07's terms.
Yeah, now looking at the damage here, Germ top damage dealer 3,300, 72 fantasy points. FC Dynamo doing what he can, 2 clips worth, 2,800, coming up 1 shot short anyways of 2 clips. 60 fantasy points. T1 had a pretty solid game, 2,700.
Dark God Zim, look at him picking up 83.1.
Yep. Now, the one thing to keep an eye on with Dark God Zim was he was another part of the key there, is he made Makos have to turn and back off. Makos was holding a lot of those heavy tanks back for eClipse by holding down that B lane. But the problem is when Dark God Zim got in behind, he became that second angle that E3 had to deal with. It's the same thing like we were talking about with the Kronwagen earlier on Sand River. How do you defeat a tank that's strong in one position where it's best when there's just one tank in front of it looking out from one angle? You have to open up multiple angles if you can't find a shot on it. So that's essentially what they did by getting that bat chat in there, is they opened up that second angle, hence making the E3 have to pick an angle that he was going to face his armor towards, and therefore defeating it.
Yep.
Even if Dark God Zim hadn't killed him just by making him leave that lane and turn to deal with him on towards the hill. That's already a win for eClipse. That is saying, hey, you have to go take this tank out of the fight. We're in a good position now.
Yeah, it's just baseline right there. That's what you want to happen. Now, we're going to flip sides. This is going to be eClipse attacking now, 07 defending. And
we did have a timeout called for 07 a minute ago, so that's why this break has been a little bit longer.
Yeah, important to note that. That means 07's had a second to, think about the strategy a little bit more, maybe come up with counterplay. And we're going to look at the tank lineups: 2 113s, a 50B, Mouse, Type 5, 2 E4s for the 07 defense. And on attack, eClipse will bring a 50B, Mouse, Type 5, 2 5As, an E3, and a Bat Chat.
Yep, now can 07 force game point? Or do eClipse tie this up at 3-piece?
If they can force game point, that might be enough to close this one out. Just enough, because we got Ghost Town after this, and Proc is the tiebreaker. Ghost Town, 07 might be able to sneak away one win and just finish this out. If eClipse wins here, I'm expecting Ghost Town might go their way twice in a row, and they should be able to clean this one up. That's all you need to do, 07, is just take this to a tiebreaker, and you've got points on the board.
Yeah, one more round in general's more points, then that'll double their point lead than they've had all season. So.
Actually, double nothing is still nothing, James.
Fair. They'll pick up 1 point.
Yeah.
That's still more than they've gotten all season, is the point.
Yeah, but yeah, that was mean.
Semantics. Anyways, we move on here. Type 5 and E3 pushing down the 3-line 407. And eClipse playing a very passive offense, just setting up, making sure they hold firm, and German actually taking a shot of damage.
Classic. This is new. We don't see this a lot. Arclet in that defensive position, we'd never see anyone peek. Wolfosta in his 113. I mean, not absurdly rare, but this doesn't really happen anymore. That squaring off across the middle of the map.
Trading with each other's Copolos, trying to get that sliver of a shot through there.
Yeah, it feels like it's 2013 all over again.
Except instead of IS-3s and 110s, it's 5As and 113s and IS-7s.
Not a huge difference. Ultimately, it's just, it's really the same concept applied at different tiers. I mean, the 5A has, you're almost shooting for the same type of weakness as the IS-3 was when you were fighting in the middle.
Well, IS-3 you had that giant flat spot.
It's a little larger, I guess, but it's the same concept. You're shooting the top of the turret.
Right. Now, looking at it, anti-pounds spotted. Fosta pulls forward.
Ooh.
Gives him a shot. Actually went through his upper front plate. Nice
Really?
shot there, yeah.
Wow.
German.
Wait, you can get a shell through his upper front plate there?
I believe.
Was he angled that way? Oh, I see, because that one tiny little bit. I forgot the north side has a little bit lower spot. No, it's when he backs up, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the back.
Fosta is actually backing into a zone where he can take fire. I don't know if he knows that.
So, to play that angle like he did, he had to move his gun. Well, it's because of where his gun was blocked by a little piece of the rubble sticking out there, so he had to back up so his gun wasn't blocked to fire, but in turn he was exposing part of his tank.
Yeah, that's probably why that's not used anymore, guys. And a little push coming out, though, from eClipse. You've got the Type 5 photo, Drawcab in the Mouse, EXO in the 50B, moving around to the south, where, oddly enough, no 07 tanks are ready to spot. Although, we'll have to see if Warbender's got binos. No, he's got optics, so he might be able to see all the way down to the cross. And because of that, that'll tell 07 what's up. They see photo, shell out, 468. Shell goes back for 376. They lost their loader. Well, Warbender loses that. Positive is dead.
Yep, that's going to be a Type 5 picking up that kill, and now eClipse have a tall task in front of them. They have to find a way to break this defense with only 6 tanks.
That's going to be tricky.
Now look at this for 07.
Yeah,
Are they going to retake the hill right now?
That's an option. But right now, Type 5 photo finish is getting torn apart, and that's not good. Photo wants to just stay alive and just launch as many shells as he can out there. Although taking a little damage right now, as far as anyone on the team goes, he would be preferred, I guess. 602, nice shell.
Now this is risky. They are taking the hill right now. They have 2 113s and a 50B pushing up that 0 line. One of the 113s is going to turn around, but Andy and FC Dynamo are pushing up here. That's going to leave 4 tanks exposed on the 2 line. If they get spotted all the way up here on this hill, that is enough time for 07 to get overmatched on that 2 line. If eClipse see that and they get all their guns together, even being down a gun right now. They could still find that overmatch up there and exploit it.
But look at this. Look at Germ and T1 Diabetic. These guys are moving on their way to the hill. And that's 3 versus the 2 of 07. Important to note. And wait.
Oh, is FC Dynamo about to get caught out? If he goes down that corner, he is not getting out of there alive.
Look at this. FC Dynamo and Andy Pans don't realize what's coming. And either they'll miss each other, or this is going to go...
He's going to get out of here at the last second.
Are they? Oh, this will actually be great. FC Dynamo is going to be in a position to spot for Dark. Oh, goodness.
By hairs. Literally by hairs, they didn't spot each other.
Wow.
And they're leaving. They're leaving at the... No.
This is so lucky for 07.
Oh, now they're spotted, but they're going to get out of there. FC Dynamo, he's going to take like one shot at damage.
Evasive maneuvers from FC Dynamo. He just wiggles.
Serpentine. And he gets out of there, and that was a close encounter. And now, Drock taking a lot of damage. FC Dynamo almost flipping his tank as he leaves.
Oh, that would have been bad.
But they don't. The thing is they only spotted the bat chat. They don't know that there's 2 tanks behind them right now.
You're right. They might think this is just a scout bat, and that they're actually going to come back for the fight. Dark God could actually plunge in, and depending on how he engages, he could bait the engagement.
Gilino's Fossa there. He doesn't know that FC Dynamo's in his face right now.
Surprise!
And this is a 3-on-3. Now they're all here. Now they all know they're here.
eClipse, don't hesitate. You have such an advantage right now.
And now they're looking for the shots, and T1 Diabetic's going to go over, and now FC Dynamo is going to try to focus him out. And they're going to go for the bat chat first, focus out, but good focus fire from eClipse onto that 50B.
Now it's Fossa.
Now Fossa, Andy Pan's doing what he can, but they haven't been able to isolate anyone, and great focus fire from eClipse. However, HP's still in favor of 07 at this point, and Andy Pans is running for his life.
Bounce from Andy Pans, although he takes 376. Nice crossfire, 50B surprise from the south as well. He's got 2 shells left, not able to find an angle, as Andy is cornered and helpless. 07, I think, is going to lose hope after this, because that is a devastating overmatch that there's no real excuse for. 07 tanks completely out of position from everyone else, overmatched by 4 tanks, while only 2 remain in the south. So eClipse has just pulled off something that they should by no means have been able to. They're alive with significant health. Like Dark God, Germ, and EXO have, even T1, have not taken a significant loss of hit points. They really should have lost one.
This isn't over yet. 3 minutes on cap. And there's still a lot of HP for 07, and they're in a decent position, all their guns together. The only isolation is that Type 5. So if they slow this down and they can get some resets, they can still draw this out.
I mean, possibly, but right now I really feel like eClipse has just made a play that gives them such just power in this. They've got more tanks in the battlefield. They could put their mouse in Type 5. Like, what are they doing even? No, they're just pinned.
Yep, someone has to find a reset right now. 20 seconds. Now, T1 Diabetic's already been reset a couple times, and Makos is lining up another shot. If he shoots him, he'll get a partial reset, but it won't be the full reset, and that's what Warbander's looking for right now. And there comes the first reset they needed, but 13 seconds on the clock. Now it's all down to Warbander.
Yeah, Germ actually could just stop Cole.
Warbander's going to get the first reset. Now HP's still in favor of eClipse at this point. There's a lot of one-shot tanks. Speaking of them, there goes 2 of them, and they're trying to clip out Warbander right now. He's angling his armor. He's doing what he can. Can 07 hold on right now? They've evened this up.
They might be able to. Colosoid moving around the corner. Looks for Dark God Zim. Not able to reload it. Yes, he does, actually. It kills Dark God Zim. 1 shot, 1 kill. There are now 3 tanks from eClipse. 07 barely hanging on defense. They've got a Type 5 Colosoid now hunting a 50B.
Photo finishes all the way out of the fight over on the 1 line. He's not going to be in this fight.
No, although Arclet's on his way to try and deal with him.
But Arclet's a 1-shot, and that's a Type 5. Any sort of splash, and Arclet's going to go down.
This is true. Although, look, Makos is a full health T110E4. He's going to block for Warbender. Takes a shell, puts one into EXO, backs up. He's going to just tank this. He's just going to take all this damage. He doesn't block enough.
Good target selection there from EXO. Gets the kill, and he comes out his last shot, but Makos should be loaded in time. T1's coming around, trying to get him to waste his shot, and Makos takes down the kill. Minute 15 left. Colosoid's still alive. I don't even know why he's trying to stay in this fight at this point. Bleeding HP, just not worth it. He's going to come around. He is spotted, so now it's down to Arclet and Colosoid, the Ukrainians in the team, versus Photo Finish and T1, but Photo is still all the way over there. He should find the kill onto Arclet here in a second. there, and down he goes. But now it's a 2v1, and Kolsoid trying to move around, trying to find the kill onto T1 Diabetic. Photo's going to be in range to get the shot soon, so this is risky.
No, Kolsoid's
going to have his back to Photo. If Photo's loaded in time, doesn't get around this corner.
No.
Is he going to get the shot? He's looking for it.
He's got it.
Doesn't pen. Okay, now he's safe. Now he can get away, and I don't think Photo Finish can catch him. That was risky. If that had penned, that could have been game over.
It very well could have, but likeliness was low. Kolsoid took the risk, and it paid off this time. And this time, 07 is going to be able to put a point on the board, I think.
07 just got their first point of the season on match day 7.
Took a little while. Kolsoid's going to sit and wait. 6 seconds left. There's Kolsoid saluting, saying, hey, we did it, guys. We made it. GG. All right, this isn't completely over.
They can still win this.
They can even, 07 can take this a step further. We're just taking a moment to appreciate the fact that at the very least, 07 will have a point this season.
And it took Kolsoid putting the team on his back that game.
Oh, 5,757 damage in a Type 5.
And 4 kills.
And 4 kills. That means he could have done more. He could have even done more.
Yep. Now, a question. The decision by Kolsoid there at the end, now they obviously ended up winning, so it worked out, but the decision to go after T1 instead of just staying away, there was no way for them to cap at that point. If he had just stayed away, stayed hidden, he could have just slowed that down and bought even more time. Now, he wanted to take the gun out of the fight, obviously, which is a respectable choice, but, you know, staying isolated, you know, staying off by himself.
This is the play I really liked from eClipse, and we got to follow that beautifully because we got to see just how 1 second of just difference of a decision, just deciding to move 1 second later would have cost so much more. And eClipse was able to capitalize upon the element of surprise. And that's how close it comes. Sometimes you're just around the corner when a tank leaves.
Kolsoid 131 fantasy points. Makos doing 4K himself, another 70. EXO continuing to have a strong match day. 4,000 damage, 84 fantasy points. Germ, another 80. T1 Diabetic, another 80. Photo Finish, another 54.
Not bad.
And then drops off after there. And
Fosta, Andy Pans not being able to do much. They died pretty painfully. Positive, I think, is the one that that really got me. When I saw him go down early on, not doing any damage and just getting taken out.
Yeah.
Like that, I know it's not a huge mistake that what happened to him, but the thing is he was absolutely torn apart.
Yeah.
That was a huge damage dealer.
They really punished him hard for it.
Yeah.
Now, they came really close to throwing that game. They certainly tried almost, but they managed to hold on. And now we're going to head into battle number 7. One more win in the next 2 will give 07 their first win of the season and possibly the biggest upset in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Can you think of a bigger upset than last place, 07 Gaming, that hasn't had a win all season, getting their first win versus eClipse?
And they only need 1 battle more to do it. And here as defenders on Ghost Town, let's find out if they can. We've got 50B, 3 Mouse, Type 5, 5A, and a Bat Chat for 07, IS7, 2 Mouse, 2 T57s, and 2 5As for eClipse on attack. These are both very dangerous lineups that speak in volumes. The number of Moisen on the battlefield right now says this is going to be something drawn out, or it's going to take minutes to resolve a brawl.
And 07 bringing 18,000 HP to this fight. That is a lot of HP.
And those the 50B and Bat Chat combination contrasted against EXO and Positive and the T57s on eClipse. We're going to have to see how that works out. Those T57s, as we mentioned earlier, can pump out a serious amount of damage in a very short amount of time, disengage and re-engage within the same fight.
If they pen all their shots, it's 3,200 damage in 6 seconds. If you go from time they fire the first shot to the time their clips are empty, and then only 22 seconds on the clip. That is a lot of damage.
And this looks like it's going to be pressure onto the 1 cap in the north. We've got Fosta lined up to create crossfire. Germ looks like he's going to try and screen the cap, although somewhat hesitantly. Although Andy Pants, that Type 5, should be able to find a reset shot, while T1 Diabetic and the T57s search for their flank. Looks right now, 07's should be able to hold that off or deal with it. but Andy Pans looks like he's having some trouble getting his shield.
Really stepping up the pressure this round. They're, they played 2 very slow games on Himmelsdorf, and they're going for the cap pressure right away. They're trying to force 07 where they want them. The 2 mice coming in late, but 07's response is actually pretty calculated. They've gotten their resets. They haven't moved too much. They made sure to hold that little courtyard area in the middle where Positive's stacking up right now, and they're doing a good job at trading.
And right now it's tricky for Andy Pans to get those resets, but he's getting them in there. And I'm worried about that bat shot in the backfield. What's going on with him? Is he getting good shields?
He's getting some shots. He's finding some connections onto EXO right now. He should be able to get one more off. EXO may go down to this. And he actually, T1 Diabetic backs up, and I don't know if that was a just intentional simp, but he ate the shell for him anyways.
Just barely saves him. That was ideal. And because of that one clip from a bat jet, that might be enough for 07 to hold on here. With 9,000 versus 13,000 hit points from 07, it's that much harder for eClipse to find their way back into this fight.
No, they need to make sure they manage the cap. Colsoid is being boxed out by Germ in this 5A. The 5A just bullying him. He knows he's reloading and just drove straight at him.
Andy Pans missed a crucial shell, now allowing the cap to raise above 70%. Because of that, 07 has to land this next shell. Andy Pans cannot miss his reset. He zeros, fires.
Doesn't get a reset. 5A needs to get it. It needs to come from the 5A in the north there.
That's got to be Foster.
3 seconds, 2 seconds. There comes the reset. That's what they need. But look at the HP. eClipse have been doing a lot of damage. Colsoid doing what he can. He does pick up the connection on a T1 Diabetic.
There we go. Now Andy Pans lands the shell for 301 to photo finish. And with Warbander down, FC Dynamo is starting to push in his 50B. Finds draw cap.
Colsoid gets his last shot in his clip. Off onto EXO, putting him down to a 1 shot.
Second bounce from FC Dynamo. Cannot bounce these. There, finally a connection. Backs up.
This is going to come down. Arclet really needs to be effective right now. He has a majority of the HP for 07.
FC Dynamo bounces his last shot to draw cap, sorry. And he goes down.
EXO picks it up. Bakos bounces a shot off 57. EXO getting so lucky right now. Puts out one more shot. He's done so much damage, and that's going to be Bakos going down. And eClipse have held on. I don't know how, but they have.
They barely did. That was dangerous. 07 looked like they almost had this, but a few missed shells here and there really put the pressure on to 07. They had to act, and because of that, they really just, they could not. I think Colsoid gets a shout out for dealing 3K damage while the rest of his team went down.
I'm a big fan of the response from eClipse. They understood where the bat chat was, and they just said 5A, just drive at him. They knew they could get at him without taking any shots. They knew it would be 1-for-1. They were still even on tanks, so there wasn't any huge risk to it. And they drove him just straight at him and bullied him out of position. And Colso was still able to be somewhat effective, but arguably he had less freedom over there than he would have otherwise. Yep. And that may have just turned the fight.
One shell. Is that an ammo rack? Oh, that was onto Positive. Positive puts one into a building. He puts himself into a building and gets the kill shot. There we go.
And that is going to be 4-3. 07 need one more win on this last round, but they have to attack now.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Attacking on Ghost Town, not super easy. I think it's been said before. You tell me if you remember who, but I think generally on Ghost Town, it's the defender to make mistakes.
It really is, because of how the map is set up. The defense typically has a decent time at it, but they have to make sure that they don't leave themselves out of position where they can't get the reset. And if you notice, that one of the main turning points of that game was Andy Pans failing to get those resets, because when that happened, Foss in that 5A had to commit. He had to leave his comfortable hold down spot and push in, and when that happened, the rest of the guns could catch him out because he came up onto a high spot where the rest of his tank was exposed, and the guns in the background, not the ones on cap, but the ones up high, clean shots all of a sudden. So that's just a tank gone. So it cost them a full tank to get that reset. And you had to get that reset or the game was lost at that point. So
and the Type 5's low fire rate really means that if you miss shells, which your team is relying on you to connect, if you are missing those shells, that's hundreds of damage that is just not being dealt.
Despite the saying that HE always does damage, it does not always do damage. Most of the time it does, but it can not do damage, especially to something like a hold down I7 if you hit it at the right angle.
This is true. This is very, very true. Now the Type 5 generally, it's going to be one of the exceptions to the rule, just because the chances of not dealing any damage at all are rather slim next to a lot of other tanks that fire AG. But all in all, you just can't you can't let those misses happen. And it hurts to see. You don't want it to happen if you're 07 now. We're going to be flipping sides, but before we do that, 5K from Draw Cab in a mouse.
Putting out damage left, right, and center and positive. 3,404 kills. Colsoid, once again, doing what he can tonight. 3,100 damage, 2 kills, 60 fantasy points. EXO, once again, still having a pretty strong night. Definitely, he had a horseshoe in his back pocket that game. I will say that much. Between T1 Diabetic, honestly, I think T1 Diabetic was just shuffling, trying to not get shot from a different angle, and he managed to just back up far enough to eat the shell. It didn't look like it was intentional.
I don't know. You might be underestimating eClipse with that one.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, T1 Diabetic is the caliber of player that would make that heads-up play, that would understand it. But I wasn't in that exact angle to see exactly what happened.
No, I know what you're saying. It's hard to attribute the intent of what he was doing. But whatever happened, happened.
Yeah, either way, he ate the shell and he kept EXO alive. And not only that, then he put out 2 more shots. The mouse failed to pen him and kill him, and he put out another shot. So that was a bunch of damage he arguably shouldn't have gotten that game.
All right, so let's take a look at those lineups. See a Foch B coming in here with 2 mouse, IS7, 5A, 50B, and a Bat Chat for 07. And eClipse's lineup, though, what do you think of that?
They are going to go ahead and bring that Leopard 1 again, and they're going to put him up onto the A1 climb. This season, since we've moved to all tier 10s, no longer any tier 8s and 9s, no longer seeing the UDESs and the AMX 30s on the climb. They're just going for the tier 10 Leopard, which does the same thing. Very agile tank, highly accurate, quote-unquote highly accurate. RNG makes it a little bit less effective than it can be, but generally pretty accurate.
It's a relative statement.
Yeah, exactly. Now,
and now
the Bat Chats, though,
they met in the middle. There was a little spotting. Of course, Bat Chats in their opening runs on Ghost Town tend not to even be loaded in time. So if you're going on a Bat Chat scout and you find another Bat Chat, most of the time you're just going to say hi and then bye. But what is important to note is eClipse spotted an IS-7 from 07, but 07 did not get any other intel. So advantage right now a little bit for eClipse as far as intelligence goes, as far as knowledge gained of their opponent's maneuvers. Colosoid's going to stack up, though, and it looks like he's going to go down that J line in the south. At least that looks like much of what the plan is, as well as what 07's going for in general. Looks like they're just going to either pressure the 2 cap from their current position or whip around and try and just run the gauntlet, we can call it. Because just... there we go. There's what we're waiting to see. And that's going to be Warbander on the cap, out in the open, where everybody can see him. And the question is, who's going to get a reset? Type 5 photo finish can't really get an angle right now. As you can probably see, his laser is looking not quite at Warbander.
Yeah, the Type 5 is the main thing to reset. EXO may find the angle, though.
EXO's just barely looking for it.
Warbander just doing what he can to angle his armor, but we'll have to see if 07 can get into a position to really punish this.
There we go. Nice shot. That's photo finish, putting this one into the side of Warbander. Warbander fires at EXO, bounces a shell off of EXO. EXO bounces off of him. Classic mouse play.
HP still really close right now. Now 07. They've already gotten more points than they have all season tonight.
This is true.
If this goes to OT, they can still get 2 points and get twice as much. But if they can close this out, that's 3 points. And if they can do this versus eClipse, they've kind of turned a new page. Going into the second round robin, they pick up a couple teams, and they're all of a sudden in the running for make playoffs and whatnot, which could just completely turn the season around.
It is
possible. If they can do it.
It is possible to actually go completely 0 wins, and there are ways to claw back into the standings. Because in order to make playoffs, you just need to be top 6. That's it. You just need to, and the top 2, whatever happens there. But real quick, let's get back to the game because it looks like the main push is coming on out. Fossa leads the way. Andy Pan's behind him, slightly damaged. Those guys will be battle buddies, fighting together in the farthest west position. Although it looks like Fossa's going to take the high road. At the same time, Mouse will head towards the middle. Foch B and 50B and Bat Chat will take up the rear and clean up anything behind their lines. And that'll be Andy Pence, Fossa, and the Mouse to just kind of keep everyone at bay.
Yeah, and they're really stacking up on that middle 5 line, maybe trying to find the isolation over onto that Mouse in the low ground. It looks like it's Who is that? Exo over there.
Yeah, Colosoid finds Dark God Zim. Surprise, surprise. I don't think anyone expected that.
Dark God Zim's in a really crucial spot right now because he's really going to stop anything coming along the south end of this map. And if 07's plan revolves around making this south push, they're really going to punish them to get him out of here, because the Batchat's over at F1 and the 57 up at D2 should also have some shots if they've done enough to destroy a bunch of those destroyable buildings.
All right, here comes a press onto one of the mice. That's going to be Exo, Warbander, and Arclet, as well as Foster. I'm going to be putting shells into him. Exo's going to see what he can do, but support is here. Germ in the high ground puts one into Andy Pans, and one more shell from Exo should be able to finish him off. But Dark God Zim is going to go down.
And a great isolation there on Dark God Zim. Colosoid pushing around, working with FC Dynamo, and ended up killing him. Now Germ in this middle area is kind of isolated right now. Warbander, Makos all getting shots off, and Makos should pick it up. He does. And this is looking pretty decent for 07. Still all 7 guns alive. HP is even, though. Actually, HP is heavily in favor of eClipse now, 1,000 up.
Yeah, they're 1,000 up. We need to see those kills, though. The eClipse, Drawcap in particular, I think, needs to pick up Andy Pans and Colosoid as quickly as possible. These are important kills to get. Andy Pans is spotted and should be able to get taken down. T1 Diabetic or Drawcap should risk a shell to get the kills. Those guns are on the battlefield. They're able to spot. They're able to be just effectively deployable cover in some ways. But there we go. That's what we need to see. Good. Colosoid next.
Foster running double repair kit in rations. No first aid kit. And look at this. He has one of his 2 loaders is dead.
Oh, no.
His gunner's dead. And his driver's dead. He has nothing he can do about this right now.
That's so typical that it happens. Because everyone knows that pain, don't they? You decide finally not to bring that one piece of equipment just because you're like, oh, I want rations. And then it's exactly the battle you needed it.
And Arclet bounces off the top of Photo finish.
Warbender puts one into the dirt next to him. Photo's got some kind of magical protection.
Fossa doing what he can, being chased by T1 Diabetic, and he's going to pick up the kill. And this is a 4v3. HP has gone back in favor of 07, but they really need to capitalize on it right now.
This is where they can win. T57 is almost loaded. And once Drawcap is loaded, all he needs to do is just find one tank that's exposed. That's it. Oh, look, he found one.
The first shot.
Yeah, that's not ideal there, buddy. Drawcap does not want that.
And Photo's going to come around. He might find a nice shot onto the back. Arclet misses his shot. Warbander trying to help him out.
And Drawcap goes into reload. He knows what's up. And because of that, FC Dynamo is able to get out in the open. Because of that, Drawcap is not loaded for
And here comes the push. 57's loaded. They're trying to find the kill onto Photo finish. He's trying to back up. He's taking a lot of shots.
T1 Diabetic has an angle on FC Dynamo in the back as well.
Oh, but look at this. The timing could work out. If they dump their shots into these mice, Colosoid could come around here and pick up the kill onto Drawcap.
Drawcap picks up one onto Warbander, needs another. Does not get the damage he really needs.
And Colosoid, the hero with 51 HP, he could win this 4-07 right now. He needs to make this clip count, though. He needs to find the shots onto Drock. Drock, halfway through his clip, he opens up one, gets the connection. Photo finish and Arclet squaring off in the middle. Colosoid gets a second, but Drock is loaded now, and now he has to run away. 3v3, 2v3. Arclet getting the kill onto Photo finish finally.
Drawcap does not have sufficient damage to deal with Arclet, FC Dynamo, and Colosoid. T1 Diabetic has to move big. He really needs to make a big move here. He needs to get around the flank. That's good. Okay, this is a strong play. T1 can do this. He can get the kill. All that Drawcap needs to do is not die too quickly to Arclet, or at least put a few shells of damage, like just at minimum. There we go, shot out. Colosoid, not a connection, and Drawcap is down. T1 really needed that connection to stay in this. And now with Arclet, FC Dynamo, and Colosoid alive, there's 1,960 hit points.
Alone Batchat, low HP against 3. This is a scene we have seen before.
I've seen it work out both ways. T1 Diabetic's a player that could do this. He's got the skills. But, I mean, the odds are severely against him right now. But of all players who could do this, let's see what T1 can do.
He's just waiting to come off a clip. No point in going out there and getting shot when you're not even loaded.
Yep.
Now he does have two shots worth of HP left in his tank.
And 3 seconds on that reload. 2, 1. Remember, he can go for
If he can get
time.
FC Dynamo and Colosoid, he can run away from Arclet, so he can do this. However, Arclet's first one he spots, he takes a shot, but now he knows that Mouse is reloading. He has to try to bait these shots out. They know where he is. 13 seconds on the cap.
And these are auto-loaders, too. That
he's not going to have time to readjust to get around here, and Arclet's going to be loaded by then.
T1 is playing.
Coming forward.
But
and that should be it. That should be 07. getting their first win of the season against eClipse in a massive upset.
Complete upset, guys. Like, this is not expected at all. 07 was expected to go 5-0. You were 5-0, right? You was the only one who said 5-1.
No, none of us saw 07 win.
Oh, wait, I thought you said 5-1.
5-1, but that was in favor of 07, or no, in favor of eClipse.
Yeah. I'm just saying that he was that much closer than we were.
Yeah, he was one round closer, but no one saw 07 winning this.
No one.
This is arguably the biggest upset in the last year, if not longer, at least in North America.
Yeah, this is going to be 3 whole points all to 07.
And just like that, 07's season doesn't look that bad. They're 3 points out of the playoffs right now.
They broke your curse, James. You said they were going to end this round robin with a goose egg, and they said no, James.
If they had won tonight, they would have been 0-7 on the season. But instead, picking it up, making it work.
I'm impressed. I really am impressed by 07. I'm really proud of them right now because this is something that everyone out there is just... I'm sure it hurt for you guys at home as well, just to watch them lose day in and day out and finally pick up a win against eClipse of all teams.
You know, they, especially towards these later games, they started to look a bit more like a team. You know, earlier in the season, they've looked a little bit out of place, a little bit disjointed. Their strats have kind of been lackluster, but tonight they seem to kind of start to pull it all together. Now, there's still room to improve, but a win versus eClipse isn't anything you can shake your head at. And looking at the damage, Photo Finish doing what he can, almost 5K damage, 100 fantasy points. T1 Diabetic also doing what he can, almost 4K damage, 2 kills, 94 fantasy points. Arclet, though, top damage dealer for 07, 3,400 damage, 62 fantasy points. FC Dynamo, 33, 3 kills, 83 fantasy points, drops off a good bit after Warbander, but 07 just doing what they can, and I like the coordination there. Good play, good heads-up play. Even Colsoid only getting 2K off in 1 kill, 51 fantasy points, but Colsoid's contribution to that last game was crucial. It was key to that, to winning that, getting Rock out of there. And looking at the series stats, Makos almost 500 fantasy points, Photo Finish 419. Then Drock, almost 400, not bad. He's had a pretty quiet season, but really strong night tonight. T1 Diabetic, another 424. Colsoid, 445.
Nice.
Exo, 414. On the second page here, nothing too spectacular. Arclet, 300. Germ, 284. Drops off after there, but a lot of the key players performing really well. Makos was one of the key fantasy players in seasons past, but this season with 07 really struggling. He's been overlooked a lot. If they can keep this up and he can keep contributing like he has tonight, I think he can, absolutely be one of those key fantasy picks again in the second half of the season.
I think so. Altogether, though, just great play. And we're actually now, I'm being told, we're joined by a representative of 07. Hey, Meadowhawk. Hey, what's going on?
Where am I, guys? I'm freaking out right now.
You're in an alternate universe. We opened up a portal in
the
time.
snozberries taste like snozberries.
And now we're in an alternate universe where you guys are really good. So...
It was good. Finally get the monkey off our back. Man.
So first things first, Meadow. You have been misleading us into thinking you guys were bad at tanks still. And can you tell me a little bit about why you did that? Because
well, okay. To be honest, tonight listening in the comms, I think we finally got our comms back. We went through a bit where Fosta was kind of busy with work and Andy took over, and that didn't go so well. And now Fosta's back and he's working with Arclet. Arclet really kind of lit a fire under people's butts. And the comms was there. But now you say we're good at, we're bad at tanks, and we have a long way to go, because from what I watched, I mean, Germ soloed 3 of our tanks on Himmelsdorf. He must have bounced 15 shots. We can't have that. And we threw the first Ghost Town. That should have been a win, but
agreed.
We had a bunch of bounces there at the end too, like a 50B. You can't bounce 3 out of 4 shells off a 50B and expect to win.
Yeah.
So we do have a lot to work to do. Tonight obviously is a good first step, and hopefully it makes the second round robin easier, because now F7, although I think they might beat top tier tonight, F7 and AM60s are closer within reach. We don't have to, beat harder teams to kind of get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, F7, by the way, does look like they're 3-1 or 4-1 against top tier right now. So you kind of called that. But I got to say, it was just a surprising match. We did see a lot of mistakes that we pointed out that were glaring in weird ways. But what do you think the team's impression of eClipse tonight was? Because they also seem to make some odd mistakes. Like, what was your guys' read of them?
Well, we knew, like, we're weakest on the city maps. So actually starting off with 2 open maps, Sand River, we've obviously practiced a lot, and Prok we haven't practiced, but we've always been a solid Prok team, except for the last couple of matches when we had Andy calling and we were just trying these random YOLO strats that weren't working. If you can slow play Prok and get the info, it works out a lot better. So starting 3-1 on the open maps kind of buffered us into the city maps, and we didn't throw enough away, so we actually won the match, which is great.
Yeah.
So my question now, Meadowhawk, in a previous interview when we were talking to you and Rude, you said if top tier was at about an 8%, you were at about a 5%. A couple of match days later, now you have a win under your belt. Where do you kind of gauge your team at?
Well, this is a huge step. I mean, obviously, like I said, the communication was way better. I mean, we had, all our comms between our Russian players was quick and everything was happening. In past, we've just had Russian players just kind of forgotten about when hits the fan, and they were just kind of left roaming to do their own thing. But we had translations going on well this game. So it's really just a matter of hammering down our player skills. Obviously, I know with the Russian guys, there's a ping issue because they're playing with 150 to 180 ping. That can obviously make a difference when you're trying to do those finesse shots. But if we can get that player skill up, I don't think we will have a good chance in this next round robin.
All right, Meadowhawk, once again, congratulations on the win. Any final thoughts for your fans out there?
Thanks for sticking with us.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, Meadowhawk. We'll see you next time.
Bye, buddy. Oh, man.
Good to see a smile on his face. This whole season's been kind of a drag. We haven't actually seen him in a winter interview at this point, and at this point, pretty happy. So I'm glad for 07 finally put the points up on the board. I don't get to use the 0-7 joke anymore, which makes me a little bit sad, but congrats.